15 for sure. A million, that's a bit high. They were real fat to be in the they ate a million ants. These guys can eat about 9 to 10,000 ants a day. I could not eat 9 to 10,000 anything a day. Maybe grains of rice, maybe. I'm not sure how many cups that equates to, but these guys can do about 9 to 10,000 ants per day, and they do some really cool things. They have some really cool adaptation. In order to eat those ants, first of all, they don't get all 9,000 from one location. They don't want to deplete their resource. They don't want to deplete an entire colony because they want to be able to keep coming back and being able to utilize that resource again and again. So what they'll do is they'll go over to this colony and they'll eat maybe a few hundred from here, and then they'll go over to another colony and eat a few hundred from there. And so by the time they recycle back, then that colony has had time to replenish itself, so they always have a constant source of food, which is pretty smart. Another cool adaptation that they have is they have that really long nose that you can see poking into the orange right now that they use to sniff out their food. And whenever they go into their food, into that anthill, that termite mound, whatever the case may be, they actually go head first. And if you've ever disturbed an ant mound, I know I have plenty of times here in Texas. It's not great. What happens when you do that? They come up. Yeah, they swarm everywhere. They can crawl on you. They can bite you. It's not very pleasant. And if I ate 9,000 of those things a day, I don't want 9,000 ant bites. That's not a good way to start a meal, right? Well, they have some cool adaptations to protect themselves from their food, from those ants. If you look at that nose and her ears there, they have special flaps on them that can actually close up. So when they do go into their food head first, they can close their eyes, and they can also close those flaps on their ears and in their nose in order to keep those ants from getting to those really sensitive areas and biting them and hurting them that way. They also have this really thick fur. It looks pretty soft to you and me, but it's actually pretty coarse, and it grows in all different directions. It crisscrosses over itself, almost like mesh, and so it's really hard for those ants to get in through the fur to the sensitive skin. So that's pretty neat. It protects them from that. It also works both ways, because you know what happens if an ant gets stuck in that fur and they can't get out? To go snack, which they can then reach with that long sticky tongue, which is pretty cool. Another really cool adaptation that they have are those big claws that you can kind of see grabbing at that orange there. They're very, very strong, and they're good for ripping open those termite mounds or bark of trees in order to get at their food. It's also very strong. They use it for climbing. These guys are an arboreal species, which means that they spend a lot of their time in trees. They will live in trees, and so they're really good at climbing. And as Heather is demonstrating here, they actually have enough strength in one claw to support their whole body. That's like supporting yourself with one fingernail, right? I shudder thinking about that. But these guys are really strong. They have enough strength in that claw in order to pop a car tire. So they look pretty cute, but they have a lot of power there in those claws. They can also use those claws for defense. If necessary, they can kind of rear back on their tail or on their back legs. And if a predator was trying to attack them, they could use those big claws to kind of startle that predator away. And they do have this really cool tail that allows them to help climb as well, in addition to those claws. It's also very strong, and it's a very special tail. It is what we call prehensile. Does anybody know what prehensile means?
No.
No? That's okay. It's any grasping or grabbing appendage that's not your hand. So here you go. So we have quite a few animals that have different prehensile limbs. If you've been over the giants of the savannah and you've maybe done the giraffe feeding, what do the giraffes have that's prehensile? Anyone? Their tongue. They can grab the leaves and grab lettuce with their tongue. So they can grab things with their tongue. That's super cool. Or the elephants over there, what do they have that's prehensile? What can they grab with? Their trunk, yeah. They can grab things with their nose. That's super cool. Same thing with the bronto's tail here. It is prehensile, so he can grab with his tail. It's pretty neat because there's no fur on the underside, which makes it easier to grip. It won't slide as easily on those tree branches. And it can really help him support himself in the branches of the trees, which is pretty neat. Now, I did mention briefly that they can use their claws for defense. They don't necessarily always need to use their claws for defense because they kind of keep predators at bay anyway. If you look at his fur pattern, that's kind of that black vest on the white. It's got almost black and white stripes. Does that remind you all of anything? What do we have here that's good at warding off predators that's black and white? Skunk, yeah, exactly right. A skunk. You know, skunks have that spray that they can actively spray at predators or at something threatening. These guys are special because they smell all the time, which means we smell all the time because it really sticks to your clothes, your skin, things like that. But these guys are known as the stinkers of the rainforest. Their odor, which you may not be able to smell right now, we don't have too much of a breeze. But if you can smell it, sort of smells like a skunk after a workout on a hot day. That is abrazo, and it's also now heather that you were smelling. But they always kind of secrete this oil that smells like this. They don't actively spray it at predators. And the same way that you might check your milk and smell it to see if it's bad. If it does smell bad, then you don't want to drink that, right? You're afraid you might get sick from it. And the same thing in the animal world. If you smell something like a skunk or a tamandua and you're a predator, you might think, oh, this animal is sick with something or it died from some illness, and if I eat it, I may also become sick. And so, more often than not, they'll leave that animal alone. Now, there are some predators that don't really have a sense of smell. For the tamandua, the harpy eagle does not have a sense of smell, and they're one of the main predators of these guys because they're not deterred by that odor. But just in case the odor does not work, they do have those big claws that I was talking about, so they can still protect themselves. Does anybody have any questions so far about abrazo or tamandua?
Got some questions?
Oh my gosh, we're tomato experts. I love it. Well, one way that we can create a better world for our tomatoes is by protecting their habitat, right? These guys are native to the rainforest of South America. And a lot of the times those rainforests are being cleared for products like palm oil. And that goes in our shampoo, conditioner, deodorants, Oreos, like it goes in all sorts of things, right? And so the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo actually created a sustainable palm oil app that you can use if you download it on your phone. You can use it at the store if you're about to buy a product that might have palm oil in it. You can scan the barcode and really easily, really quickly find out if that palm oil has been harvested sustainably. And so that's a really good way to create a better world for our animals is by picking products and buying products that have had sustainably harvested palm oil or none at all. So that they will be able to stop clearing those rainforests and clearing their habitat in order to keep these guys safe. I think abrazo is about to head back home. But does anybody have any final questions about him or tamanduas? Well, excellent. Thank you so much for stopping by and learning all about abrazo.